This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Good morning and welcome to Squiz Kids, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Monday, November 1. In Squiz Kids today, Halloween hits new heights. Japan's sea made of stone. King Kyle smashes a record and hands up who wants a fluffernutter. That's what's making news, kid style.
The lowdown.
Ghosts and ghouls and zombies and witches were out in force all over Australia last night as the country embraced Halloween with gusto. With pandemic lockdowns lifted in our major cities and kids back at school from last week, trick-or-treating hit new heights as suburban homes all over the nation were decorated with spiderwebs, skeletons and the Walking Dead as Aussie kids dressed up and took to the streets in their spookiest costumes. Did you hit the streets last night and hassle your neighbours for lollies? Yeah, me too. Did you know that amazingly, Halloween was barely celebrated here in Australia 15 years ago? It was mostly only celebrated in America. I've stuck a link in today's episode notes to a gallery of photos of Sydney kids all dressed up. And it's a big day on the other side of the earth today as the COP26 Climate Change Summit gets underway in Glasgow, with leaders and delegates from all over the world discussing how to stop the planet getting hotter. Swedish teenage climate warrior Greta Thunberg arrived in Glasgow over the weekend and was mobbed by lots of excited young fans as she got off a specially chartered train that had arrived in Scotland for the summit. We'll be hearing more about the summit as the week goes on.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed off the coast of Japan, where huge quantities of floating stone have damaged ships, clogged ports, and made it impossible to swim. Wait, what? Stone doesn't float. It sinks to the bottom. Everyone knows that. Well, there's one exception. It's called pumice stone, and it's formed when lava comes out of a volcano underwater, cools down rapidly, and fills with bubbles, creating a stone that can float. An undersea volcano erupted in August, about 1,000 kilometers off the coast of Japan. How cool is that? A volcano that erupts underwater, spewing out lava which almost instantly turns into a floating stone. Now, months later, massive quantities of pumice are arriving on Japan's coastline, affecting 30 ports and lots of beaches. I've popped a video in your episode notes showing a woman trying to have a swim in waters packed with pumice stone, and it looks ouchy.
Pop Culture Corner.
So, you guys know what a dictionary is, right? But did you know that every year the dictionary gets updated, depending on which words have been popular in that year? So the folks who published the Merriam-Webster dictionary have just released a whole bunch of new words that they've decided to add to their dictionary. And we're excited to see that fluffernutter has made the grade, which is a sandwich made with peanut butter and marshmallow between two slices of white sandwich bread. It's also good to see the abbreviations TBH, meaning to be honest, and FTW, meaning for the win, are also on the list. Because how else would us adults know what you kids are talking about? Though I've got to say I'm a little bit less excited that dad bod has made it into the dictionary, meaning the slightly flabby body of a middle-aged father. Because, well, I suppose that's because I have one. I guess I should maybe cut back on those fluffernutters.
Squiz Kids salutes.
And today we're sending a big Squiz Kids salute to Aussie swimmer and gold medal winning Olympic champ Kyle Chalmers, who this weekend smashed the world record for the men's short course 100 metres freestyle. Swimming at the World Championships in Russia and lining up against some of the fastest swimmers in the world, the 23-year-old from Adelaide took to Instagram after his swim and said he could scarcely believe it himself. You see, only 10 months ago he was in hospital recovering from shoulder surgery. The fact that he won a silver medal at the Tokyo Olympics in July and then broke a world record this weekend, well, that makes him a special sort of champion in our eyes.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What's the name of the volcanic stone that is so filled with air bubbles that it floats? That's right, it's pumice stone. Question number 2. Name the Aussie swimmer who's just beaten the men's short course 100-metre freestyle world record. You got it, it's Kyle Chalmers. Question number 3. What's the name of the marshmallow sandwich that's just been added to the dictionary? Yeah, that's right, it's Fluffernutter.
Shout-outs.
It's November 1. Pinch and a punch. Today is All Saints' Day in the Christian calendar, a day to celebrate, as the name suggests, all the saints of Christianity. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Kaylin from Newcastle, Dean from Griffith, and Darren from Cherrybrook. And belated birthday shout-outs go to Remy from Mount Eliza, Harper from Ballajura, and Magnus from Subiaco. And classroom shout-outs today go to Mr. Price's Year 5 Bunmara class and Mrs. Garner's Year 2 Warrigal class at the Hills Grammar School in Sydney. To Mrs. Toledano in Year 3 at Blackwell Public School, to Class 3-4V at Stanmore Public School, and finally to Class 2C and Mrs. Schiller at Ross Hill Public School in Inverell. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout-out, or if you're after a classroom shout-out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.